everyone says, hey, we want our property values to go up. We want a healthy economy. We want all these things that are, the byproducts of a healthy economy. Well, these are the things that are the byproducts. Price of living, cost of living goes up tremendously. And we're seeing that. And the part is that I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm pretty certain it's not going down.
Hey y'all, Katie here with Team Evo AZ at eXp Realty. We are so excited for season 4 of Real with Matt and Katie, and we have so much juicy real estate goodness lined up for you for this season. Thank you so much for following us and for listening to our show. Remember, we are based in the Phoenix, Arizona area, so if you're interested in buying a home, selling a home, or you just have general real estate questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are a valley-wide team. Our handle is at Team Evo AZ on all of your favorite social media platforms. Enjoy the show.
Hey, everybody, it's Katie and
Matt.
We are that real estate couple talking a lot about real estate and a little bit about life based in the Phoenix area.
Yep.
And today we have our very favorite, Alex, our right-hand man. How long have you been with us, Alex? We've been working together now for what? It's got to be close to 10 years.
35 years.
It'll be 35.
Since before Alex was born?
Exactly.
Yes. It'll be 10 years in August. Or no, July.
Crazy.
A decade.
Yeah. Anyway, we love working with you. And we love having you on the show because you work with a lot of our buyers. You work with sellers too, but you work with a lot of our buyers. And so you're seeing stuff all day, every day. And it's great to kind of get that feedback from the trenches. So today we're going to talk a bit about renters and kind of some tips for renters. And, because we all know that the rental market is like crazy here in Phoenix right now.
The other great thing about Alex is he represents a big generation right now that's really moving the marker in real estate. The millennials, you got us weird. She's a Gen Xer.
Yeah.
I'm that strange Gen X / first millennial. I have no place to live. But Alex is definitely a millennial. And, they're the ones that are really, really pushing the real estate market, especially here in Phoenix. So it's great to hear what you have, not only personally being there, but, a lot of your peers and seeing stuff we don't see as old people,
As old people, not
absolutely.
that old. Oh my goodness. So let's talk rental market, guys. We all know that the housing market, we're in a seller's market. And so we've got low inventory. We've got buyers that are, having to compete for these homes. And there are very few of them as compared to the amount of qualified buyers there are out there. But what's going on with renters? Now, Matt and I, for those of you who don't know, we have been landlords for quite some time, and we've got a couple of rental properties ourselves. So what are you experiencing just with our personal rentals as we're coming up on expiration of our lease agreements and you're kind of talking with our tenants about what our intentions are?
Well, there are a bunch of questions in there, my love. I used a lot of your 1,000 questions. In general, you can tell that, the quality of tenant is unbelievable because they know, tenant right now understands that it's not like it was even 3 years ago where they could be pick and choose and try to negotiate and, and not play games, but know that they had a leg to stand on. So I feel like a lot of them right now are very responsive. They do their best to communicate, but I think they know what everyone else is experiencing right now. And that's a big up in rents, a big push.
Giant increase.
So we're talking 28% over the last year. That was a report that was just released for here in Phoenix Metro. That's insane. So I think a lot of people are really, really, they're sensing that. They know it's there. The question is are they really acknowledging it? Or are they closing their eyes and their ears and just waiting for something to happen? And that's kind of what, I think we're going to talk about today. As far as our tenants precisely, it's hard to say because, it's one of those things that I prepare them as much as possible as a good landlord. I don't think that, a lot of landlords out there are very, we'll say reactive. There's a lot of new landlords that are in place that have just become landlords in the last year or two because of this whole fad. And they don't understand the importance of communication. They're also nervous about any interaction or kind of sometimes disclosing the tough news to say, hey, guess what? I'm raising the rent by $300 or $400 or such. And therefore they don't do it in a way that's going to give the results that they need emotionally, that their tenants need emotionally, and they do it last minute. And I think that's kind of what's bringing us to what our topic is today, that people are seeing that a lot of tenants are getting this bomb dropped on them. Hey, your lease expires in 45 days. By the way, it's going up 50%, Oh,
And it's even less than 45 days. So
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot, of course, you guys know I have Mom Nation, which is really great because I've got, 10,500 families basically that are constantly communicating in there. So I'm hearing a lot of this, and people are having 30 days, in some cases less, which I would question their lease at that point. But they're having only 30 days in which to either pay this giant increase, which they're not prepared for, or find another property. And try to find another property right now. I mean, just like a purchase is very competitive in the rental market as well. And things are really, priced pretty high. So it is a shock. And like with us, we're very communicative. We communicate with our tenants well before the fact, well before this lease is going to expire. But like Matt says, not every landlord is like that.
No.
So you as the renter, right, your life is about to go through an upheaval here. So for you as the renter, it's really, really important to communicate with your landlord, maybe even 90 days ahead of time, maybe even 120 days, so 4 months ahead of time, and know what you're up against once that lease expires. Alex, what do you think?
Well, it's a funny story. I got a text from one of our past clients, a deal that we did, a cross deal in Gilbert, and probably like around 8 p.m. And she was like, hey, Alex, do you mind running rental comparables in my neighborhood? Because our lease agreement is coming up in the next 2 months. And I was like, oh, yeah. And it was funny. We had this topic today, and because she's thinking about increasing the rent. And she was like, do you think rents have gone up in the past year? And I was like, well, I don't even need to look up the numbers to tell you yes right now in your neighborhood. So it's funny because just like you said, it's happening everywhere. All landlords are going to be doing that. And that's not the first text I've gotten in the past year. I've gotten hundreds of texts like that from our clients who are investors who got their first rental, asking me like, hey, what should we do with our next lease, or should we increase it? So yeah, it's, in my experience, it's happening. I mean, everybody's getting increased rates. I mean, just from, like with most agents 9-10 years ago, when I started as a what's it called, a rental agent, and me, when I came here for college, when I was renting homes in Tempe for $800-900 a month. And now students can't even afford to live in Tempe because Tempe prices, you can't find anything less than $2,100 for a house. So it's funny. I mean, you're absolutely, just like the housing market, just like home prices, rental prices are just going through the roof.
And it's unfortunate because at least through sales, in real estate sales, there's more ethical boundaries. There's more,
Absolutely.
Things that keep people, sellers, buyers in check. And in the rental market, there's not. There's a lot
There's
of
no appraisal.
slimy stuff happening where people can just really take advantage of these people, especially with the whole rental application. I talked to someone before that was like, you know what, we've literally put in like 15 applications at $50 a pop, and we don't even hear back from people. So I can see where it's very, very, very frustrating. Our economy is bursting right now with just great stuff. A lot of tech companies coming in. So that's one of the driving forces behind this, is you have all this new labor that's coming in, that these are educated people. They usually are financially astute. And at the end of the day, they're saying, hey, we're not going to buy something right off the bat. It's worth our risk ratio here to pay more to rent to figure out where we want to live. So they're the ones that are not even balking at these prices. And it's interesting to see that. And that's where, like, a lot of our calls, even when our last rental we put up, we said, let's put it up for a pie in the sky, whatever, boom. Next thing you know, we're getting calls, a lot of calls for people that weren't even blinking their eyes at this number. And it was like, whoa. Yeah.
if you got something, they'll take it. That's basically it right now.
It's so true. And, something else that we have noticed over the last couple of months, and I mean, I guess this is something that's kind of always happened, but it seems a bit more intense over the last couple of months, is we are noticing that people are coming into the team, contacting one of us, for a rental property, or, hey, my landlord's going to be raising the rent, $500, and I'd like to look at other rentals. And we're actually talking with them about getting pre-qualified to purchase.
Yeah.
And some of them are able to do that, whereas they didn't know they could do that before. And at this point in time, I mean, buying's officially less expensive than renting in most cases,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
I
I
think,
mean, sorry, go ahead, Katie.
no, it's okay. I just think it's really, really important for people to look at that. And, the conversation that I've had over the last couple of weeks with a handful of people as well, I don't know if this is home forever. I don't know if I'm going to stay in Phoenix forever. That's why I haven't looked into buying, or I don't want to be tied down to a property. But if you really think about it, it's okay if Phoenix is not home forever. Get into it, build some equity, get some tax write-offs. We know that equities are going to increase in the next couple of years.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, it's a catch-22. And everyone says, hey, we want our property values to go up. We want a healthy economy. We want all these things that are, the byproducts of a healthy economy. Well, these are the things that are the byproducts. Price of living, cost of living goes up tremendously. And we're seeing that. And the part is that I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm pretty certain it's not going down. It's not going to be going down. If anything, it's going to go up. All of the pros that all they do is dissect numbers and look at it. It's written all over that housing, not only sales going to go up, but also rental. So you got to really ask yourself this question of what are you doing in Arizona? How long are you going to be in Arizona? Are you raising a family in Arizona? Where in Arizona can you be?
Yeah, but people think that they're going to be tied down to a property, and that is so not the case.
No.
Because with equities raising, you're going to be able to sell that property, or you're going to be able to toss a tenant in it and make cash flow.
Yeah.
Yep. And what's holding you back? Because just like you're saying, with equities raising, you're going to make money off it. But what's the worry of it not selling as well if you put it on the market? Each houses are going 4 or 5 days on the market, and they're gone.
Exactly.
Multiple offers, and then also what to piggyback on what's holding you back. There are 0 down payment mortgages. You can, exactly.
A lot of great programs.
If cash is what's holding you back, then that is something you don't need to worry, because you got grants, you got 0% down payment mortgages that you can take advantage of. So there is basically no excuse. As long as you have the correct credit score and the correct debt to income, you can get a mortgage.
Yeah.
So there is nothing holding you back from taking advantage of a mortgage that's going to be less than your monthly rent and getting a piece of property that you can build equity on. So,
and I guess the big question is a lot of people they shy away from it, probably because of everything that we've experienced in the past decade. We still remember that. But then you got to really ask yourself, what are you exposing yourself to loss? What is the loss that you think that you're exposing yourself to? We know we have all the ingredients right now to say that, hey, things are going to be really good for real estate over the next 12 months. So if anything, you're going to appreciate, let's just say a minimum of 5% if you were to pick up something now. If you're one of these people that is paying between $2,000 and $3,000 a month for a rental, which a lot of people are, and they're getting frustrated, they're going up, do the math on that. You're literally spending $36,000 to put in someone else's pocket. Where if you were to take your money that is probably sitting in the bank, buy a house, you're still paying a portion of that principal of your payment there. You're getting your tax, benefits. All these things. I'm sure if you put it on a spreadsheet, we're at $36,000 to what it would be to purchase something that might even be a little bit below your means, like smaller, whatnot. Maybe it makes sense to build into your risk scenario that, hey, I am worried about where I'm going to be in the next 12 months. Maybe I should buy this place to be more of a rental than my personal home to match all these emotional needs that I need, a lock and leave type situation. So then you do know that. I think you look at that spreadsheet side to side and you'd be like, it's a no-brainer. So, and if you ever had those questions, you could reach out to us and we can really help you put those numbers down. So you're not just making things up. You can really lean on some accurate data.
That's the biggest thing. I think a lot of people are still a little kind of some shock in them from that market that we had several years ago. And they're kind of just creating or assuming things versus actually putting pen to paper. So super important to do that. And then you really know what's going on. I always tell my clients that. Let's look at all of the opportunities. Let's pencil out all of the opportunities, because once you've got it down on paper, once you've done your pros and cons, whatever, you might find that the route you thought was the best route to go actually isn't. So that's super important to do.
Well, and having that external dialogue with someone, you know, I mean, that might not have a bias that you do, that you're building these emotions upon. I remember there's a few people that I know that sold their house in 2020 because they're like, oh, the crash is coming again. What we're going to do is sell at the top of the market and we're going to sit and we're going to rate and rent, and then we're going to be able to buy lower. Well, guess what? That was a bad mistake. You know what I mean? Those people are now paying a boatload of rent. They probably picked up something they had to pay more from, and they lost a good 30% in equity.
Oh yeah.
So it's one of those things that it's so good. Listen to the voices in the head, but make sure that you bounce those off other people.
Confirm them. Confirm them with professionals.
Yeah.
I wish it was required that you could talk to a mortgage lender before you get into a rental.
Yeah.
I wish that was a requirement. Seriously,
I think
it's an education thing. You know. It's just basically an education thing.
It's totally an education thing. That's giant. And it comes up more often than not in so many topics in real estate and life in general.
Well, life in general, yeah.
But back to, I'm a tenant, I want to be proactive and I want to get ahead of this thing, right? Because my lease is about to expire. So we have some tenants right now that are looking to buy, and the conversation that we're having is, oh, well, my lease doesn't expire until May. Here we are, February. My lease doesn't expire until May. So I'm just going to wait till like what, April before I start looking at property. Let's talk just a little bit about that, Alex, and tell us why that's a mistake.
Well, first of all, it's why it's a mistake is the state of the market right now. Each one of my clients are putting in offers every single weekend, several offers at that. And I'm not going to lie, you're not going to be successful every single time with every single offer. So it may take 2 to 3 months to land the right property or get a successful offer through. So why risk that? Now, obviously, you're gonna get those ones where you're gonna get the first house you offer on, and it does happen. But let's take other circumstances into this. If let's say that house is owner occupied, and you're still in a rental for 3 months, offer them a lease back. Yep. You can do a 30-day close, and then for owner occupied, a primary residence, you can do a 60-day max lease back if it's a primary residence. So that's the perfect situation for that 3 months right there.
And a lot of sellers are wanting that right now because they're wanting to sell their house first so that they're not a contingent buyer when they go to purchase. They've got their money in their pocket and they don't have to deal with the sale of their home.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't realize that if you end up closing escrow in a certain portion of the month, it's going to take care of that next month's payments throughout your closing costs. So you can actually, like a lot of people like, well, I don't want to get stuck with paying a lease and paying a mortgage. And if you're really looking at between now, we're at the beginning of February, and if you had to move out by May 1st, you know, I mean, we don't have many months there. So let's say it took all of February, it took you 3 weeks of house hunting with Alex. Okay. You get out there end of February, you finally land it and you say, okay, we have a 30 to 45 day close. Well, that now puts us at the end of March. I mean, if you end up closing appropriately, you might not even, you could position it that you're not going to have your first payment due until the 1st of April. Absolutely. And at that point, you only
not if you close in March. So mortgages are paid in arrears is what he's trying to say. And rentals are not like that. Rentals, you pay for the month before. So you pay on the 1st for that month, right? So you pay on February 1st for February, but mortgages are different. They're paid in arrears. So essentially, if you were to close in April, then you would not have a payment until June. So if your date that you're moving is, you know, your lease is up in May and you don't want to have double payments, then it's perfect to close in April.
So you could end up literally, working it out that you're not going to be strapped for that. And then, like Alex was saying, there's a lot of really good loan programs out there that you can explore and match to what your financial situation is. So
now, if you are concerned about it taking too long, then you need to have that conversation. Just like Katie was saying earlier, always have a conversation with your landlord. See if you can get a month-to-month price with your landlord. If it's taking too long, or if you start too late, always talk to your landlord. See if you can get it on a month-to-month program. Don't just hop into another 12-month lease. Don't just sign the next lease that he comes out back to you. Sign that month-to-month if it makes sense, and still keep shopping, because there's a lot of people I see that make that mistake, and then they get into another year lease, and then the market jumps another 20%, and then they're shocked at what the prices are from the difference from the previous year. See it way too often.
Yeah. And that's again about education. Talk with your professional, us. You can talk with us and we'll help you with that and kind of guide you through that. But a lot of people, you're exactly right. They think, okay, well, my landlord just slid another 12-month agreement under my nose. I've got to sign that or I'm not going to have a place to live. No, guys, it can be negotiated.
absolutely.
Awesome. Anything else that you'd like to add on the topic, sir?
No, I think we covered it pretty well.
And I think that the one thing that I would say is if you find yourself as a tenant and you're in that position, like, it's really good to create relationship with your landlord. You know what I mean? These are the situations that are popping up. And one of the situations that I just ran into with some clients is the fact that they're selling out to management companies. Management companies are now approaching these landlords that have one or two properties in Manhattan, and they're saying, hey, you realize we can get you 40% more. So all of a sudden you're now, as a tenant, dealing with this, hands-on, super cool landlords now switched over to this corporate type. We don't have any emotion. This is how it is. And so it's really good to make sure that you have that communication with that landlord so you can maintain that. And that's how the people that I'm dealing with that just got the notice of, hey, 30 days, you're out, or it's $800 more in rent.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was a property manager that reached out and told them this, and they were emotionless. They weren't responding. They were disorganized. They were able to then go back and talk to their landlord because they had his contact and say, hey, help us. Can we do something? And they were able to get a month-to-month for up to 2 months. So, it's always good. Don't get emotional. Breathe.
Talk to your professionals.
Yes.
That we will help guide you.
Yeah.
All right, guys, if you're interested in being a guest on the show, please follow us at Team Evo AZ. That is our handle. We are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all the things. Give us a like and send us a message. Let us know why you'd like to be a guest. While you are at it right now, listening to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform, definitely do us a favor and subscribe, download this episode, and rate us to help us get the real news out to the real people. All right, guys. And if anybody needs Alex, which everybody needs Alex, how do they get a hold of you?
You guys can call me. That is at 480-442-5743. You can also text that number, or you can also email me at Alex, ALEX, @evoaz.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, sir. Until next time, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.